Hello, it is Facebook Live. Yes, I have a song on my heart today because right before I hit the button, I was singing to Mandisa's Overcomer. I'm Angie Nuttle, executive coach for working women. So welcome to the Facebook Live. As you join, I want you to know that I am welcoming you. I'm excited about today's show. So just hold on tight while everybody joins. And in the meantime, I am going to do some sharing, which is something that I do every Monday. I share this content because what we do is worthy to be shared. All right, while I'm also getting this set up for us for today's Facebook Live on the A-list, I do want to bring your attention to something really cool that is happening right now. And right now we're forming women's VIP circles starting in August. And what is a women's circle? The way that you can find out, I'm not going to spend all of our time right now talking about that, but what you can do is you can go to angienuttle.com/circles, and you'll find out some details about what it's like to be a part of a women's circle, what the purpose is. And you can also go on there and take a survey to see what kind of circle you would most be interested in. So more to come on that. But right now, I want to make sure that I am getting our Facebook Live situated here. So hold on. Let's see here. And Aimee Kandrac is our guest speaker today. I'm excited to bring her on in just a moment. And Aimee, I'm going to call on you, so I can't wait to chat with you either. So let's go ahead and get started. I am Angie Nuttle, executive coach for working women. So you may be saying, oh, well, I'm not an executive, so I don't really belong on this Facebook Live. Well, let me just tell you what executive means, because I think we have a misunderstanding sometimes about what that means. If you look up executive in the dictionary, you'll see that it means to put plans and actions and laws into effect, to put them into play. You know, put your actions and plans into place. Well, we may not be able to directly put laws into effect for the nation, but we can put laws into effect for ourselves. We can create our own boundaries. We can activate our dreams. We can activate our calling and our mission. So if you are able to do that, which every woman is able to do that, then you are an executive and you belong on this Facebook Live today. All right. So here's a question for you to get us started off. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Good question to think about. What are you doing today that could change your life in a year? So let that sink in for just a second. What are you doing today that could change your life in a year? Think about that. You're welcome to respond to that in the chat. I'd love to hear from you for sure. You know, the opposite of that is to be thinking about what are you doing right now that is not going to matter in a year? Are you spending a lot of time just running around in circles? Do you find yourself just constantly circling the bowl but never being able to flush? Do you find yourself just going through life and you're maybe feeling unfulfilled? Maybe your job isn't what you want it to be, or maybe you feel like you need to maximize your potential, or maybe you even feel like you're supposed to be doing something completely different. Maybe you're being called to something. Maybe you have some gifts that you have, but you haven't been using those, or maybe you even have gifts that you haven't even discovered yet. Well, our guest speaker today is Aimee Kandrac, and I want to tell you about her before I bring her on, because here is a woman who started doing something. She took a very painful situation and she turned that pain into the potential to do something great, to push forth a mission that is very much needed in today's world. And I cannot wait for her to tell you what she's doing. But let me tell you a little bit about Aimee. So Aimee is the co-founder and president of WhatFriendsDo. I'm not going to spoil the surprise on what her story is, but man, it is a powerful story. So Aimee, she's very passionate about running a technology-based company that helps friends and families in a special way. And the fact that Aimee is so innovative and forward-thinking, I'm going to tell you that it has won her tremendous recognition. So some of the awards that she's gotten, she was recognized as one of Indy's best and brightest finalists from Junior Achievement of Central Indiana, and also top 50 mom entrepreneur, that's combined, of the year from eBabble.com. So the thing about Aimee, she spent her early career in development fundraising, both in nonprofits and higher education. So, she had all of this experience in managing events and coordinating events, strategic planning, fundraising. She became the first female CEO in the state of Indiana to close a $500,000 round of funding. So that's pretty powerful. So not just that, but Aimee is a speaker. She's been at Indiana Conference for Women. She's been at Successful Women Made Here. She has been featured on Forbes.com, Time.com, LA Times, Indianapolis Monthly, India Style, Indianapolis Star, and a member of Incorporated Inc.'s Magazine Founder Society. So I want to welcome Aimee to the show. So Aimee, say hello so that I can wave you in. Go ahead and say hi. And while she's doing this, I just have to say, technology, boy, I would love to have somebody who could run my technology for me, because I knew in third grade that I was not going to be a math teacher, and I also knew that I was not going to be an IT expert. So Aimee, go ahead, and if you would, there you are. Let's see if we can add you in. Hold on just a moment. Aimee?
Hi.
Yay! Woo! We made it. We made it. Good to be connected with you.
Great.
So obviously, was this the third time or the fourth time?
A lot of times.
It was a lot of times.
Yes.
Well, we are here now, and the door has been opened for us to connect and for people to learn about you and the world that you live in. So welcome to the A-List.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started with you just talking about who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, thanks. So in one of these times you gave just an amazing bio, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of exciting to listen to. But the basics are, I'm Aimee Kandrac, and I am a co-founder of WhatFriendsDo. And WhatFriendsDo is an online service that allows friends and loved ones to come together when there's some big life event. Maybe someone is sick, maybe there's been an accident, any of those times in life when life is a little too much and friends and loved ones need to come together to help. We are the online tool and community for organizing all of that help. We're not going to, take meals for you, but we're going to provide you with the ideas and all the tools you need to support someone when life has thrown them some sort of curveball. Right. So that's really what friends do in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So we're
well, yeah, and I love that story. So I would love to, people are probably saying, well, how in the world did that really happen? What exactly happened that sparked all of this?
Right. So I cannot tell you that I was, searching and searching for the next best job opportunity, because that's not how it happened.
Right.
My sister's very best friend was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer when she was 25. And my mom and sister, it was really tough. It was really tough. And they were the, first line friends who were at the hospital trying to relay messages to all of the other friends and loved ones across the country, trying to help kind of manage the information and manage life tasks that needed to happen while Laura was in the hospital. Yeah. And from that experience, my mom called me one night and said, Aimee, I think what we're doing for Laura, we need to kind of figure out how we can do this differently. And I still remember sitting on my couch when I got the call from my mom, and the first time we were talking about it, and my husband was in medical school. I had a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and I was working full time. I was not looking to start a company, let's be really
Right.
clear.
Oh my God. Yeah. So you're the typical woman who is overly productive and has 25,000 things going on. And here you're faced with this realization that you need to be doing something else.
Right. Yeah, we need to be doing something else. And my mom actually was the one, she was taking some class at her church, talking about what her gifts were and what her, spiritual gifts were. And that's when she called me to say, Aimee, I think we have really complementary gifts to be able to create something online that can,
Yeah.
and I have to say, what we're doing is not something that's like brand new, right? People
Yeah.
have been bringing meals and providing transportation, providing care and support and love for friends and family when life gets hard. They've been doing this for generations.
Yeah.
What we are doing, and where I think my gifts lie, that I've been able to kind of help move this forward, is in the area that it needs to be online. You need to have
Yeah.
a way to handle all of this online rather than, with a sheet of paper that gets posted on a bulletin board or 20,000 phone calls to try and organize everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you've done is you've taken a process that's been around for years and years and generations, and you have digitized it
Yep.
and simplified it and streamlined it so that people who are going through these life experiences that can be pretty traumatic and painful,
Right.
and they don't have to focus so much on all of the juggling acts that have to happen. It's like you hand them over a structure, just a
Right.
way to, hey, I'm going to guide you through this so that you can really get back to focusing on the person that you care about, and that's the person who is struggling right now.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. So I'm curious, one of the things that we talk about on the A list, I work with a lot of women who they're in the corporate space or they're working for someone else doing well, it's not 8 to 5 anymore. It's more like 8 to 8 now.
Yeah. With a couple of breaks
But
for running errands and kids' places, right?
right, yeah. I mean, women are in that space and they're dreaming about, gosh, I wonder what I could do to really make an impact, and they get lost. I mean, they get so lost in the daily grind of what's happening. But you found an open door. You found a way to make this mission happen, and not only did you make it happen, but you made it it's a profitable business. So talk about what it was like, or even some of the ways that you really made this happen from a practical standpoint. I mean, did you just go into work one day and say, okay, I'm done? Or did you have a plan? Share with the audience how you went about this.
So, no, I did not go into work one day and just, okay, I've got this great idea. Now I'm done. Definitely not like that. It was a lot of, okay, I'm going to work. I'm going to take care of the kids. I'm going to then, clean up the house and sit down at night and start making plans. So starting to storyboard out and that's what we called it, 10 years ago when we were doing this.
Yeah.
How do we want this to look? What do we want it to do? Tons and tons of research on what's already out there. Is someone else already building this? What's working, what's not working? And that's how we started. And I have to say that's kind of still how it goes. Like, in order to maintain an online company and an online presence, especially, you have to keep researching all the time to be aware of what the latest technology is, how are things working. But back to how did we get this started? So we had to put all of our, ideas, plans in place. I took coding classes in 7th grade, and that was a couple of decades plus ago. Maybe a little bit ago. And coding is I don't code, right? So I could not build this. but I knew how I wanted the user experience to happen. I'm not an artist, so I couldn't draw how I wanted it to look pretty, but I knew I wanted it to look pretty.
Yeah.
So we put together all these ideas. I could put together, here's the plan of how we want it to work. But then it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember a couple minutes ago, I mentioned how I had 2 little kids. I was working in nonprofits and fundraising. My husband was in medical school.
Yeah.
It's not like, anywhere.
Well, I mean, and I think it's pretty amazing that here you are, you're inside the bubble, you're thinking about how this is really going to become real, and you're so focused on this mission and making it happen that, all of the other circumstances, the way things look, that didn't get in your way. You didn't let things get in your way, like, well, I need to wait until they graduate. And I mean, and a husband in medical school, we know that's not cheap. I mean, so yeah, so I think it's amazing that you were so focused on that, and you pushed through this. You focused on it.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that I'm still really lucky. As I'm thinking this through in my head, I don't even know if I want to say it. I know that what I'm doing is really needed and isn't going to go away.
Yeah. Right.
Sadly, people still die. People have medical complications. They have surgery. Right. Accidents happen. And we help with happy things too. Like someone has triplets. All of these things happen. And that's not going to change. So I happen to be in a business and industry that I just saw how needed we were, right? So that's what really helped drive my passion, is that I knew I had something that could help change people's lives.
Yeah.
And I still know I have something that can help change people's lives, which is what keeps me going every day.
Well, and just to put some, just to help frame that up, what you're saying, you recognize, no, I'm not a doctor. I can't cure these people. I'm not an artist. I can't draw out pictures, but the one thing that I can do is make them comfortable, and make things easier, make life easier, especially for the people around them who are trying to figure out what to do. And you found a niche, and it was in a very unexpected place. And that, I mean, that is such a powerful testimony to, putting your gifts to use. One of the things that I do is I have what we call the 5-point formula to freedom, and everything that you're talking about fits it. It's about figuring out what your purpose is, what your calling is, what your mission is, what your destiny is, and what your gifts are. And you take all of those and you feed them into something like you're doing with What Friends Do, and it's powerful. And there may be other people that do it, but you have your special way that you do it, and you're fueled by the experience that you had. So that's really, it's a great testimony. So my next question for you is, when you think, go ahead.
No, just a really quick response. Thank you for those reminders, right? Like, thanks for that reminder to me to say, oh yeah, I do have these things, but I didn't know that when I was getting started with it.
Right. Yeah.
And I wanted to mention that to remind all of the women who are hopefully inspired by these stories that you're sharing and your coaching, that maybe you don't have them all figured out quite yet.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't still get started.
Right.
Just because you don't see it and internalize it yet. So anyway, that was my little side note. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's awesome because, I used to have a coach, and she always told me, start before you're ready.
Yes.
I mean, you have the instincts to follow what needs to be followed. Women's intuition is very powerful, and it's like doubly powerful. If you are, a spiritual woman, you've got that discernment. Something's going on. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but something's there, and you simply have to follow it, because you know that at the end of that, that's going to be answering your calling. So you obviously are a woman-owned business. So talk about, what are the advantages of that? What's the great thing about that?
About being a woman-owned business? Well, one thing
Yeah.
for me is that my primary customer is a woman, right?
Yeah.
When you look at who provides caretaking in our society, it's primarily women. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel really lucky that I have a business that can support other women who are in caretaking positions. And one thing that I'm
Yeah.
really passionate about is making sure that I can employ other women, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can have the opportunity to grow as people and to have, you know, sometimes just the confidence to know that they have worthwhile gifts to share. I know
Yeah.
that's something that women often struggle with, especially if they're kind of like re-entering the workforce, and different
Yeah.
times in life that can be more prevalent than others. So that's something that I I really like as a woman-owned business. I will say
Mm-hmm.
there have been struggles, being
Yeah.
a woman-owned business. So something you mentioned in the intro is the fact that I was the first female CEO in the state of Indiana to close a round of venture funding for $500,000 or more. And that was not an easy task. That
Yeah.
was in 2015. And there were times in 2014 and 2015 where I was the first woman to pitch to some of these venture funds. They'd
Yeah.
never had a female CEO pitch to them. Um,
Ah, wow. That's pretty amazing.
yes, it is. so, so all of those things that I mentioned about how lucky I am to have a woman-owned business, that almost not backfired, but was a hindrance for me sometimes as well, because sometimes
Yeah.
when I was pitching to men to get the funding to get the company moving, and this is not all men, but there were some men who just didn't understand the necessity of my company, right?
Right.
You know, I had men who said,
Yeah.
"You think there's money in taking food to people when they're sick?" I mean, that's a direct
Yeah.
quote. I was like,
Oh, wow.
have you ever
So
taken
that's
food?
pretty amazing. So I'm not going to mince words here. What happened was, here you're a woman-owned business. You're trying to get funding. You understand, as a person who carries the social and mental load in society of just, not just working and taking care of kids, but women are socialized to take care of all of that. So
Yes.
not every man, I'm not, and so for my male watchers, what I'm not saying is that every man has no idea what's going on. That's not true. But there is a stereotype out there where women, are supposed to take care of certain things, and women are really good at it. Women are really good at just
Yeah.
juggling everything and handling multiple priorities to the point that sometimes our male counterparts, they don't see that. They don't see the struggle. So to them, it's like, well, this is no big deal. So
Right.
you encounter that, and almost, a prejudice is a strong word, but just maybe it was just an ignorance about what women really go through.
What women really go through. And, you know, if you're trying to explain to an investor to give you a whole bunch of money to make a business move, if they don't understand the problem, because they
Right.
either, you know, for whatever reason, never experienced that problem, it's
Right.
a pretty big hurdle to overcome. Um,
Yeah.
and again, it is not all men, right? It's
Right.
something that I did encounter because a lot of, I mean, if you do your research, 93% of VCs in this country are male. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that it was just a harder hurdle, and a hurdle
Yeah.
that I was not expecting, but I found to be more prevalent as a female business owner,
Yeah.
catering into a female dominated need. But I think a lot of women who are starting businesses often are starting them, um, because they see a need, right? And so it's probably something that they experience as a female.
I love just women, they here's an interesting idea. It'd be nice to do this, but then they quickly get to, because one, they're already carrying so much of the load. But the other part of this, oh, I might have to have money to do this, and if they don't already have that money, then they know that they have to go out and get it. But the beauty about what you've done is your passion was so great for what you were doing that it pushed you through. And although every single day hasn't been a bed of roses, you've persevered, and as a result, I mean, you are impacting the lives of many people as a result of that. So I think it's awesome. I have a mother who has leukemia and she's been in remission for a while, but sometimes I understand as someone who is a caretaker from time to time that I know that's a service that I could definitely use for the people that I care about. So I want to hear from you. What would you say are your top tips for women out there who are considering this, are considering just doing something and stepping out of this day-to-day daily grind that they're typically in and moving into something like this?
Well, I think we already touched on one of those, and that is you might not have all of those gifts exactly spelled out yet, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do and shouldn't get started, right?
Right.
And you don't have to start out big. Start testing just little teeny tiny things. Maybe it's, you just try to, sell something to one person. But the number one tip that I like to give, male or female, anyone who is considering starting a business, they have an idea. Number one tip is talk to people about it.
Yeah.
No one is going to steal your idea. They have to be equally or more passionate about your idea to take it and run with it than you are. And that's just not the case. You will only make your idea stronger the more people you discuss it with, because you will either get validation and or points to make your whole process and your whole business plan stronger. So that is the number one thing. Just start talking to people about it. It doesn't have to be perfect yet. And so those are my top tips. Talk to people. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect yet. And just start small and get ready to kind of, you can have so many pivots or iterations. It might fail at first. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you can't learn from it. And that doesn't mean you can't change it. And failure is, I shouldn't have even used that word, right? It might not jump and grow as fast as you were hoping the first time, but use that as a learning point and a teaching lesson each time to see, okay, what didn't work? And then just change a little bit up. So those are my biggest things. And I love to talk to people about business ideas. So anyone who wants to, jump on a call, do a quick, chat about what their idea is, I love to do that. Because it made my business idea stronger the more people I spoke to about it. And I loved getting the naysayers comments about it. Because then I knew how to then, change my messaging or make everything a little bit stronger.
Yeah. So, Aimee, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I am on Facebook, so they can find me through the WhatFriendsDo.com Facebook page. I'm on there regularly, and everyone on my team is on there regularly and get in touch with me quickly. Also, feel free to send me an email, a direct email. It's aimee@whatfriendsdo.com. And I would love to set up a time for anybody to get in touch. Follow us on Facebook, send us messages. I would love to be able to help not only with business ideas, but if you know someone who could use our services, we're here to help.
Yeah. That's awesome, Aimee. I appreciate you being on the A-list today. And for my audience out there, just to recap, Aimee, you can get in touch with her at www.whatfriendsdo.com. You can also email her at aimee@whatfriendsdo.com. That's AIMEE, correct?
That's it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Aimee, for being a great sport, especially with all of our technical difficulties today. I really appreciate you. Your story is inspiring, and I look forward to having you back on the show again.
Thanks so much, Angie. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Everybody, so that's our Facebook Live for today. We'll send this out to all of you who weren't able to see it, and just take time, listen to Aimee. She's an inspiring lady. Visit her website, get in touch with her, as she's opened her door for you if you have business ideas. And also, don't forget to check out some of our women's circles that we're starting in the month of August. You can check those out at www.angienuttle.com/circles. That's plural, circles. So go check those out and see if this is a way that you want to just get started. You wanted to do something you've got an idea, or maybe you just know that you're stuck in that daily grind and you need to move somewhere else. You're in transition, or you're in the business world and you're needing some fulfillment, and you want to answer that question, what is it that you're doing now that's going to change everything for you next year? Start working on that question today. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday on the A-List Facebook Live. Bye-bye.